Imagine it's the early 2000s. Sydney, Australia. Two young college friends, Mike and Scott, sit hunched over their laptops, sharing a vision that no one else could see. They had an ambition, but in reality, they were just two broke software engineers, looking for a way to make a living without answering to a corporate boss. They didn't have grand offices, fancy investors, or even much of a plan. But what they did have was grit, and an idea they believed could help developers worldwide work together in ways nobody had imagined before. They called it Atlassian. With $10,000 in credit card debt, they launched their first software product, Jira. It wasn't glamorous, it wasn't designed for the masses, but Jira hit a nerve. For the first time, developers had a tool to manage their projects in a structured, collaborative way. It was groundbreaking for one simple reason. It was designed by engineers, for the engineers, cutting through corporate noise to focus on real problem solving. But as Atlassian grew, so did the pressure. Mike and Scott had no business background, no formal training, and Australia wasn't exactly a tech hub. Investors were scarce, venture capital funding practically non-existent. Yet, Atlassian's early growth was fueled by sheer word of mouth and a risky choice: no sales team. Their products would have to sell themselves. And they did. Customers came trickling in, one by one, from unexpected corners of the globe. Companies like NASA and Boeing were drawn to Atlassian's no-nonsense software. Jira, Confluence, and other tools were becoming essentials, but every small win came with new hurdles. The young founders were thrust into a world of intense technical challenges, constantly evolving demands, and fierce competition. Their initial success led to a crucial turning point, one that would define Atlassian's trajectory and the lives of its founders. With Jira gaining traction and Confluence finding its place as a team collaboration tool, Atlassian began its climb. The world was starting to notice this scrappy little company from Australia. But as their customer base grew, so did the stakes. This wasn't just a passion project anymore. Atlassian was on the verge of something big. But big didn't come without challenges. Year 2007 arrived with an unexpected wave of competition. Established tech giants, armed with endless resources, started rolling out similar tools. Pressure was mounting from all sides, and some Atlassian team members questioned whether they could keep up. Mike and Scott faced their first true test as leaders. If they wanted to survive, Atlassian needed to innovate, faster and smarter than ever before. They knew they couldn't outspend their competitors, so they chose a different strategy. They'd outvalue them. To scale without losing touch with their roots, they doubled down on the product. Instead of splurging on fancy offices or marketing gimmicks, they poured resources into R&D, listening to their users and improving the software. It was a gamble, one that put intense pressure on their developers, their resources, and on the founders themselves. But it paid off. Atlassian started rolling out features and fixes at a relentless pace. Their reputation grew not as just another software company, but as a brand developers could trust. Companies like Netflix, Tesla, and Airbnb adopted Atlassian products, attracted by their simplicity and reliability. Atlassian was no longer just an Australian software firm. It was becoming a Silicon Valley disruptor from halfway across the world. But there was a deeper tension brewing beneath the success. The company's growth had started pulling Mike and Scott in different directions. They were no longer just friends coding side by side. They were now leaders of a rapidly expanding organization, with all the tough decisions, long hours, and personal sacrifices that entailed. Burnout became a quiet, unwelcome companion. Both founders felt it, but neither could slow down. And then a major turning point: the decision to go public. By 2015, Atlassian was a name whispered in boardrooms and tech conferences worldwide. Their products were embedded in the DNA of thousands of companies, from startups to Fortune 500 giants. But while the outside world saw a soaring tech company, on the inside, things were getting more complex. Scaling had brought on growing pains. They were no longer a small, agile team of passionate developers. They were a global organization with hundreds of employees across multiple countries. Leadership meetings were more frequent, strategies more complex. And for Mike and Scott, the stakes had never been higher. They both knew what was coming next, the move that would make or break Atlassian. The IPO. Going public wasn't just a financial decision. It was a leap into a new world, one where their every choice would be under scrutiny, every slip magnified. But there was a nagging question. Could they hold onto their fiercely independent culture once they opened themselves up to shareholders? Mike and Scott debated the risks and rewards, spending long nights considering every angle. The pressure mounted, but the path forward was clear. If they wanted Atlassian to continue its rise, they needed the fuel that an IPO would bring. In December 2015, Atlassian went public on the Nasdaq. The news spread like wildfire in Australia, a rare moment when the global tech spotlight was on a company from down under. The initial offering was a triumph, one of the most successful tech IPOs of the year. For a moment, it felt like they had conquered the mountain. But being public brought a new set of challenges. Atlassian had traded independence for the promise of growth, and now they had to deliver. There were quarterly earnings reports, investor expectations, and the looming threat of competitors circling like sharks. The market was becoming ruthless, and everyone wanted a piece of the pie that Atlassian had baked. Then, just when they thought they had hit their stride, Atlassian faced a crisis that rocked the foundation of their customer trust. A security breach put sensitive client data at risk. It was every company's worst nightmare. The incident threatened to tarnish Atlassian's reputation overnight. Mike and Scott acted fast, implementing new security protocols and investing heavily to ensure such a breach could never happen again. But damage control was exhausting, and the pressure was relentless. This was a crossroads. They could either go all in on protecting their integrity and culture, or they could start making compromises to keep up with the demands of Wall Street. In the end, they chose to remain true to the values they had built Atlassian on: transparency, resilience, and a fierce commitment to their users. That decision, though difficult, set the stage for Atlassian's biggest transformation yet. As Atlassian entered the 2020s, it was no longer a scrappy underdog. It was a global powerhouse, valued in the billions, with products used by millions worldwide. Yet, even with all this success, Mike and Scott weren't about to coast. They had something bigger in mind, creating a legacy. They wanted Atlassian to be more than just a profitable company. They wanted it to be a transformative force in the way people work and collaborate. Atlassian evolved from building simple tools to creating an ecosystem for productivity, creativity, and connection. They focused on enabling seamless collaboration for teams worldwide, acquiring products like Trello and integrating with platforms like Slack and Microsoft Teams. Atlassian wasn't just solving problems. It was redefining teamwork for a digital-first era. As the company grew, the challenges intensified. The shift to remote work stressed their infrastructure, competition sharpened, and the tech landscape constantly changed. Founders Mike and Scott had to innovate cautiously, knowing that a single mistake could jeopardize everything. Amid the pressure, they chose purposeful growth, launching sustainability and social impact projects. It wasn't just about competing, it was about leaving a lasting impact. Scaling up brought further complexities, managing a vast team, adapting to rapid tech shifts, and meeting public market expectations. But they stayed true to their approach. No sales team, no compromises. Today, Atlassian is a testament to vision and persistence. What started as a $10,000 venture became a world-changing company, with Mike and Scott navigating countless challenges to empower teams, push boundaries, and make a lasting difference.